Hey everybody, this is Nev, and welcome to a first episode of 2022. Because, by the way, before we get started and what I'm thinking might just happen in this upcoming year, I do want to wish you a happiest of the New Year's, and I hope you have had lovely holidays. Now, 2021 was absolutely insane, wasn't it? Yes, all kinds of cool things happen, all kinds of creepy things happen. And what can we expect in 2022? Well, I am thinking the same of the old with a new twist, of course. Now, we're seeing some of the crazy laws being proposed, and I am expecting that we're going to be experiencing some of additional crazy laws that are going to be coming our way. For example, the whole pay the taxes on the unrealized gains. Yes, that was absolutely crazy. Now, it didn't go anywhere, but it is one of the crazy explorations, and I think there's going to be more of that to come. The second one that we've seen is California has this new crazy bill that basically says that if you're about to sell a property, you have to actually offer it to your tenants first, to the state and to the nonprofits before it goes out into the market. And then if you have a buyer who actually makes you an offer, then you have to take that offer and allow others to counteroffer before you can call it official. That's right. That is absolutely crazy and insane, but that is more of what we can expect to see in 2022. The additional piece that I am thinking of happening is Turkey and the Turkish lira, I think, are going to continue to tank, and they're experiencing ridiculous amount of inflation going their way. And I think we can expect to see even more of that coming in. But Turkey is not the only one that is going to be experiencing that. I believe there's going to be other countries that are going to start popping in. And what has happened with El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as their official currency, I think we might see happen in a few more countries in 2022. CBDCs are not to be left behind, and we're seeing more countries continuing to explore and moving forward doing it. China was the big news in 2020 and into 2021. Now we're seeing some of the other countries that are actually continuously exploring that and looking to roll it out. It could be good, it could be bad. One could argue with all kinds of those things, but one thing is for certain: CBDCs are here to come and here to stay. NFTs were absolutely insane in 2021. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, from CryptoPunks to the apes to the loots to the whatever else you want to call it in, NFTs have absolutely exploded and are selling like hotcakes even today. Now, the prices have started to soften a little bit, but it's still a bit on the crazy side. And of course, vast majority of those projects are not going to last a long term. Unfortunate pieces, we don't know which one is. So investors are going out there and minting and buying whatever they think might take off and then hodling to see which one holds up. Makes sense? Welcome to the wild, wild west of crypto, and that's what we've been seeing. Speaking of crypto, what the hey is up with BTC? Bitcoin has performed really well in 2021. However, we have seen some really crazy things happening in the second part of the year. First part of the year was absolutely crazy, absolutely ballistic. Then we kind of came into the summer, it started to cool down. Then we had that Wyckoff distribution. It went back down, we went back up, hit 69,000 roughly, and now we're about 47,000. And one of the things I'm seeing is potential head and shoulders. That's sort of like Bitcoin giving us all a middle finger and going one direction, down. Now, here's a couple of things to think about. Now, if that is to happen, right, is that we could expect to see Bitcoin, if the head shoulders actually pattern plays out, because it's setting up for one nicely. But if it does end up playing out, we could see Bitcoin actually hit roughly 20,000, maybe 18. Now I know that sounds crazy. Personally, I don't want Bitcoin to go down on one hand, right? Because I'd like to actually have my Bitcoin be more valuable. On the other hand, it's kind of nice when the price goes down, because if you dollar cost averaging, well, then you can buy more for the same amount of the fiat that you have, which means you can accumulate even more. But one of the crazy things that we've seen is that the volume in Bitcoin has actually started to go down over time. And that's one thing we should not be joking about or kidding, because what that means is that the price movement and action is not as strong as it was earlier. Now, at the beginning of the year, I had predicted that we're going to be between 72,000 and 87,500 in Bitcoin for 2021. I was not correct. I missed it by a few $1,000, but I came pretty darn close in what I thought was going to happen. Not crazy about that, but that is what happened. Ethereum has done absolutely insane gains and started to really gain into momentum, into the pricing, into everything else. But Ethereum is having its own challenges. Gas is really, really expensive. And while most of the projects are being built on Ethereum, many projects are starting to use additional blockchains like Avalanche, Solana, or simply layer 2 solutions like Polygon. Polygon has done amazingly well and the price action has ensued. And that's one of the altcoins that we can see continuing to perform really, really well in the upcoming months and years. And if Ethereum 2.0 doesn't really end up playing out in 2022, we could see that Ethereum second layers are going to become even more valuable and something that Ethereum is going to start supporting, but as well as additional investors. Of course, secondary channels and different blockchains might also be the ones to be utilized. And again, we've mentioned some of the names of those. Polkadot also might do really, really well, but we're not seeing as much movement and as much conversation about it as we're seeing about something like Solana and something like Avalanche. And so we'll see how it all plays out. It's still really early in this whole space, but I do expect that 2022 is going to bring in even more revolutionary things happening, more than just NFTs and DeFi. I think there's going to be some sort of weird new combinations coming in. Metaverse is another piece where things are going to be playing out, and I think crypto will have a lovely place to play in that. There are some companies that have existed for a while that are continuing to grow and develop on their platforms, inviting other developers to contribute to it and really building these ecosystems, which I think are going to be huge in years to come. 2022 could potentially be one of those years where we see some really cool things happening within crypto games, gaming community as a whole, and metaverses that are growing and expanding. Now, Square also announced that they're going to be moving away from just Visa and MasterCard and American Express, that they're going to start looking at new ways to transact utilizing blockchain. So that's one of the cool things to think about and consider. And Square, I believe they have changed their name now to The Block or something like that. So something else to think about. Facebook changed it to Meta, Square changed it to The Block. I think we're going to see more of these name changes, especially for the companies that are trying to align themselves more on the crypto end of things, or try to escape some of the not so positive news that they have experienced over the years. So that's where we are with that part of the house. Now, looking at the stocks, we have performed really, really well. Maybe not as crazy as crypto gains, but the gains have been really, really good. S&P 500 actually has outperformed just about everything else. But of course, we're going to be expecting, or I am expecting, to see some bumps in the market in the first half of the year. There's simply a lot of uncertainty. The new version of what we've been dealing on for a couple of years, sorry, can't say it. They don't like it when you say it out loud. But I think you know what we're talking about. Then we are seeing that there's inflation and potentially inflation rising, although I think we're going to start seeing some of the softening within that piece in the 2022. Doesn't mean it's going to go away. I just don't think it's going to go up as fast and as high as it has in 2021. So I expect sort of to reach some sort of plateau in 2022. The supply chain dynamics, I think, are going to continue for a little while longer, but I do believe they're going to start sort of smoothing over because everybody was trying to get everything in for the holidays. The holidays are done and over. Most of the people have done their shopping. Here comes the pain month of January, where you're trying to pay all of those bills back. Most of the shopping is not going to go in. Inventory is potentially going to be much higher. And at that point, I do expect to see some softening within the prices of some of the goods and services. Digital goods and services have been going down in price for a while now, and I believe that that is going to continue into the unforeseen future. So a couple of things to expect over there. Now, we're also expecting to see if the Fed is going to raise the rates or not. Personally, I don't think that they can afford to do that because it makes our debt, United States global debt, much more expensive, and US dollar is still pretty darn strong and growing in strength comparative to other currencies. So I don't know they're going to be able to do that, but we'll see. There's a lot of uncertainty with that. And then there's, of course, some of the additional bills, some of the crazy bills that we mentioned earlier that are happening that potentially could speed all of those things up and make a lot of changes. So I expect the prices are going to go up. I do expect a bit more uncertainty. I do expect a bit more turbulence, a bit more volatility within the markets to be happening. But we'll see. Overall, I do expect it to be a good year. Now, one of the things that I did really good at predicting for 2020 and 2021, thank you very much, is real estate. I have predicted that real estate is not going to crash, contrary to the popular belief that everybody was throwing out there. I was expecting prices to go up. Now, one piece I did not expect to see happening as much is for the prices to go up some 20% or so. Now, of course, that's on the much larger scale. Some areas have not seen as much of a growth. Some have seen much more than that. But when we look at it globally, we're talking, and when I say globally, I'm talking US-wide globally, not like world globally. Sorry about that. But we have seen roughly 20% increase year over year. That is ridiculously high for real estate, but we're seeing some softening in the prices in the final quarter of 2021. Now, part of that might have to do with, well, it's seasonal adjustment anyways, because people tend to buy a little bit less in winter months. And piece of it is also that there's a bit less demand, a bit more supply. As the prices have gone up, some of the people have been selling, but not necessarily buying. What that has done is actually put the rental component up through the roof, and rents have gone up in ridiculous sums of money. Roughly speaking, I've heard somewhere about 3% month over month increase. Some of the other areas I have heard that the rents have gone up between 10 and 15% year over year. So those are really, really huge rises. And I believe that we can actually see a bit more of that happening. The eviction moratorium is officially over. We're going to see a bit more evictions. I don't know that we're going to see as many foreclosures, although that is quite a bit of possibility. But again, I don't know if we're going to see as much of that. What I do expect to see is that the prices will continue to rise, especially as the inflation continues. I do expect that the home prices will continue to rise. Probably not as high as they have in 2020 and 2021. So I do see some slowing down in the rate of growth when it comes to the real estate. Now, when we talk about the real estate, we have to be very specific of what we're talking about, where we're talking about. I'm speaking globally here. Again, globally meaning the United States, all different property types. But if we break it down into residential commercial sector, I think that there's some challenges within a commercial sector of real estate, specifically office buildings. Those are down and going down. Retail, I could actually see it going down as well in the upcoming year. But when we talk about residential income producing places like apartments and multifamily units, I do expect those to continue to stay steady and potentially go up. We'll see what happens with inflation and with the interest change, because the mortgage and change in mortgage could potentially make real estate less affordable or more affordable, depending on what those rates are. So that's something to be not quite certain about, but that's where I see it going. I do think it's going to be an amazing year if we play well and look forward and pay attention to what's going on. There's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of turmoil, and it could be a year where we see another recession like coming our way. And I think always being prepared for something like that makes sense. However, not acting and not investing because of the fear we might happen also makes us potentially lose on gains that we could have. Prime example for that is after the 2018, I was convinced, absolutely convinced, that we're going to go down, and I did not necessarily sorry, not 2018, 2008, my apologies, 2008. And I was convinced that the market is going to go down, and I didn't invest in it. Now, I was investing in real estate at that time, and that proved to be an amazing investment. So I'm grateful for that. But the market has actually gone up. So now I have learned a lesson of yes, pay attention to it. Yes, look for those things, but no, do not buy it that it's going to go down and crash and use that as a reason why you should not invest. Now, this is not a financial advice, nor your personal advice. It's meant for entertainment and potential education only, to inspire you to look into more things, expand your mind, and look at the ways how you can potentially make even more money. So thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode.